time for our next session. You might not be able to talk to your clients physically during the nationwide lockdown, but there are many other ways, of course, to keep in touch with your customers over the coming weeks. Here is Bruce Martin, Managing Director of Ginger Juice, and Ollie Yates, Chief Executive of Clicky Media, to offer key advice to make sure you're ready for the upturn. Hello, I'm joined here by Bruce Martin, a Managing Director of social media consultant agency Ginger Juice, and Ollie Yates, Chief Executive of digital agency Clicky Media. Now, both your expertise is really paramount during these times, as everybody is stuck at home, glued to their screens, and surely digital marketing has never been more important than it is now. And for agents as well, especially who need to keep in touch with their clients, social media can be a really important and effective tool. So I just want to kick off this discussion really looking at what marketing tips you can offer travel businesses who want to keep in touch with their clients but are quite concerned about getting the tone right in the current climate. What advice would you give? Bruce, we'll start with you.
Yep. Hi everyone, how you doing? Yeah, thanks for that. So yeah, it's important to keep in touch with everyone during this crisis. Social media is a great way of doing that. It's in everyone's pocket and it's free. And as you say, it's the challenge is getting the tone right. So I think initially after the initial lockdown, everyone's a bit kind of concerned about how best to go about using social for business and for to promote the message. But I think now people's getting into their stride. A lot of the brands that we're working with and others that we've seen have been posting regularly for the last week or so. But just making sure that the tone is not buy now or travel now. It's all about travel later. This is what you're missing, but it's waiting for you when you can travel again. And it's just about kind of top of the funnel, kind of as they marketing speak, kind of getting that inspiration front of mind. People still want to go away on holiday. They're desperate to go and get out of the house. So it's okay. It's reasonable and appropriate to kind of surf that and make people want to travel and inspire them for when they can. I mean, 2021 is and beyond is still on is bookable in many cases. So it doesn't stop people dreaming. So yeah, just avoid too much of a desperate buy now thing, but more about and look forward to that. Like what we've been doing with our clients, South Africa, has been along that theme. We've been using a tagline of meet South Africa later, and the response has been really good. People have been quite, they've been very, they've been understanding and appreciative of that tone.
It's not
so we were quite relieved with that, and we could continue that kind of thing. They're not.
It's not what fantastic offers we've got now. It's look at what you could do next year, or thinking about travel rather than book your holiday now. It's not that. It's look ahead to 2021 when we're out of this awfulness and start thinking about your travel now.
Yes.
Ollie, would you agree with that?
Yeah, everything's about tone at the moment. As you say, I think people are expecting companies and organisations to be as emotive as possible at the moment. So, and as honest about the situation as possible. I think the worst thing you can probably do is try to assume it's business as usual or try to power on with the same messaging. Supporting the national cause, consumers want you to see that you're doing that and adjusting your messaging appropriately. And I think people know travel's going to be hit hard, but they'll also be dreaming, like Bruce says, about the holiday they can take at the end of this. So just sort of spending most of your time thinking about people that are in that sort of dream phase of a holiday booking, because they're going to be there for a while, process through that time. So, but I think the big thing is just making sure that whatever you're saying, you've considered it and you've really thought about how people might look at that, and definitely don't sort of treat anything as business as usual at the moment, because it just isn't. I mean, there's some really good examples. I think, as Bruce said, the South Africa one's excellent. Visit Australia have done one with Love from Oz. A lot of the sort of visit organisations are sort of adapted quite quickly, change their messaging to reflect it, and people, it buys into people's, their emotions really. That people do want to visit these places, and they're being told they can't at the moment. So just sort of accepting that fact, and then everything's about building for the future.
And tell us a little bit more about the South Africa campaign. So that before was come and visit us now. Tell us how they kind of changed and how quickly that was a pretty quick change they had to do, right? It hadn't even gone live, or had it, or?
No, we've had a theme. We've had a theme in the UK called Meet Your South Africa for the last year, and before that there was always a kind of Meet South Africa as a theme. The idea being, if you meet the people you'd love, you'd love to come. So when it locked down and everyone there was a couple of days when everyone just like panicked. Cross travel wasn't there, and everyone just didn't know what to do. And we kind of thought, well, we've had that panic days now. We need to think about how can we move forward with it. We can't just like stick a head in the sand and not post again ever. So what's the right way of doing it? And as a leading, tourism brand, we've always kind of keep an eye on Canada, Australia, and everyone else is doing as well. And we need to lead on this and try and get the message out there. So we just thought, well, just tagging on later at the end of that hashtag seemed to be quite an easy thing to do. And then we kind of like repurposed some content which you already had going. I had used in the past. I'm not like ready. Some good stuff. Basically baby animals. Baby animals.
You always win.
We just, if in doubt, baby animals. we had like elephants fighting, and then we kind of used that as being, this is the kids at home, day one, lockdown. You just kind of like, it's hard because it's a deadly serious matter. To make light of it, but then there's a lot of memes going around. People quite like the memes in a kind of black humor kind of way, about fighting over toilet roll, that kind of thing. Although it's really serious, people can't be serious all the time. They need to have an outlet of being fun and kind of taking the mick out of ourselves and the situation. So being too cheeky, it's been quite useful to kind of riff off the current situation in the country, as well as using some other type of content. For example, we're reusing some of the long form content, like long videos, like free videos, because people haven't got a lot of time to watch them normally. So, but they have got more time now online. So if there's a tip for travel agents watching this, is to don't be scared to post more long form content, because people have got more time. Everyone's kind of like spinning through their phones looking for things to do and be amused. So my tips would be long form content, video, and also it goes about saying fun things, quizzes, interactive stuff. We've all seen lots of quizzes banging around the internet recently, and no reason why agents couldn't get involved in that as well and reshare and maybe make some of their own. And anything goes. It's really the theme has been video like this and quizzes, really.
Just back on the video, when you say long form, how long is long form? What is the optimum time? Because like you said, people have more time on their hands, so it's not a normal time when you kind of have really time poor. Surely people have more time. I mean, agents are totally flat out booking people. And having to rebook and on the phone to their customers. Let's not kind of detract from that. But for their clients who probably may have more time at home, can they perhaps maybe think about longer videos? And what is longer? 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Ollie's the best man because I know Clicky do loads of stuff on YouTube, so you probably answer this better than me, Ollie.
Yeah, I mean, I think videos have changed so much in the last 5 to 10 years, really. People, the way they consume it, looking at it in a story format, for example, is very short, and it's our old version of short format is very short now. So what we can probably do is look back to 5-10 minutes is not out of the question, and people have probably got a bit more time in their hands. They can sit and watch something. If it's got a bit of a narrative and it's worth watching, then people will probably got a bit more time to sit and do it. So I think it's just remembering that fact at the moment, and just expanding things a little bit. But I think 5-10 minutes probably is the most you want to be looking at. As a longer version of video content, I'd say.
Okay. And what platforms should these be embedded on their own website, or should they be putting them out onto Facebook Lives or Instagram Stories, or what's best?
I think if it's a 5-10 minute video, you probably need to be getting it onto YouTube, and then referencing it into your posts that you put out on Facebook or Twitter or wherever. I think anything of a long content, you can also upload it to Facebook as well as a full length video as well. But yeah, those are the places I put them. If you're using stories and so on, there is a limited amount of time you can capture someone's interest. So you sort of need to edit something down to work for a story. But if you're going to encourage someone, or if you've got you can send people through to watch the full version of the video on YouTube or wherever from the story. That's probably the best way to look at it.
Would you agree with that, Bruce?
Yeah, definitely. I'd add to that, I'd say you mentioned live. I think that's a good thing for agents to be trying out during this downtime. Is trying to get.
What's that, Facebook Live, did you say?
Particularly Facebook Live, because Facebook will give it an uplift. It wants everyone to be using live. So whenever you do go live, everyone gets notified about it and you'll reach more people. So when we do our training for agents, we're always banging on about saying, try to use more live. This is the time to master that and to get used to doing it. I mean, it's weird, the last few weeks, everyone's been on Zoom and everyone's quite comfortable now about being on camera.
Yeah.
Never done so much like video comments ever.
Yeah. It's
definitely. Yeah. Sorry.
It's just me on camera. It's like whatever, you know. So I think people should grasp that kind of feeling and agents just grasp that and take it forward and do more live video because it won't bite you. It's just so much better than doing text or something else. And also, embrace things like Zoom and because it's the new normal now. Everyone's done it. This whole pandemic has changed a lot of marketing and what people are used to doing and what they find acceptable and what they don't. And so it's utilising that and pushing it forward.
But we are really noticing that people want to see people. People want to be able to speak to people and connect with people. So I wonder if that itself is a real opportunity for agents to be able to connect with their clients, just to have that face-to-face interaction, especially the older generation who may feel a little bit more isolated at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the newer agents that I've been dealing with grasped it mostly quite well already because they kind of started with no black book. They've had to bring up their work on their leads. So they've used every trick in the book, and one of those is being video and live and stuff like that. So some of those done really well. I think some of the more established agencies have not had to worry about that kind of thing before, but I think now it's showing the power of this kind of thing of how you get the message out there really, really well and crucially show your personality and credibility for video, because you can't do that through a blog post or a social media post. Nothing better than this kind of thing. People are watching us through here and making judgments and kind of thinking, oh, they're idiots or they know what they're talking about, whatever. But people will make that decision, you see, and video is so powerful. I think this is a really good opportunity for agents to get used to it during this lockdown. Start doing some fun stuff. Why don't travel agents do like a Friday quiz with on Zoom with travel with all their customers, just for fun. It's just to get used to using this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I like that note you said about quizzes
with all their fans, because if they go live on your Facebook page, all the fans get to hear about it, and they might not watch the whole thing, but they would have seen you doing it, and it's front of them, isn't it? It's that kind of stuff. So
yeah. Ollie, have you seen any clients using quizzes at all, or is that something you would kind of talk about and recommend?
Absolutely. I mean, anything that sort of humanises everyone behind a business at the moment is going to go a long way to making sure those people support you in the long run. So I think, like Bruce said, the fact that we're all using video technologies to communicate with people, we're being a lot more candid than we've probably ever been before. And customers are going to start to appreciate that probably more than they thought they did before. So anything that might have seemed a bit amateur before to sort of, it's all been lowered a little bit. People are expecting a little bit more of an organic approach to almost everything they're doing. So, not being afraid to try those sort of things and seeing what happens. I mean, it's amazing. Probably some of these companies don't realise quite what they could be doing from that perspective. So, giving it a go. No one's going to lose at the moment. Everyone knows everyone's trying to do their best. Everyone's trying to keep in touch with their customers. There's an awful lot of goodwill out there, and I think just take advantage of that from a business point of view at the moment, and accept it. And see, you just don't know how what new friends you're going to make as a result of it all. So, I think everything's possible. If you're going to do a quiz, if you're going to do a very candid camera live video on Facebook or wherever, now's the time to do it. Give it a go. Nothing's going to be lost in doing that.
And best platforms for doing that? I mean, we're obviously on Zoom right now. It works very well for sort of conference calls and for seminars like this. I know we said about Facebook Live. Do you think that's probably a better platform to do things like a travel pub quiz on a Friday night? Or, I don't know, are there any other platforms? House Party, a lot of people were talking about that.
I think if you're doing like a Q&A or a quiz, then this Zoom's good for that, because you can see who's watching and they can also engage with you. Facebook Live is great for just broadcasted out as well. It works really well. I haven't really had a reason to use House Party yet, but I know that's kind of cross-platform mobile phones, isn't it? So it's more mobile delivery. But yeah, it's just try to see what everyone, what you find comfortable with and how you think you can use it. I mean, look, we're doing a meeting here, but obviously this Zoom can do webinars as well and share screens, that kind of thing. So yeah. I know that you guys, and we're going to try this in Travel Gossip, and other people have been doing training as well from a supply point of view. Mm-hmm. Agents could use that as a kind of talking through particular destinations or trends and kind of showing some videos that they've seen. So using more of a platform to deliver content and talk over it from there, add their expertise to it.
And we've talked as well about kind of using this sort of downtime. It will become a quieter time for agents in the next few weeks. Obviously, sales slow down. Now is the opportunity to learn those skills that you probably always mean to, but you always get too busy and you don't get a chance to. Bruce, I know you were saying that you wanted agents to really kind of use this time to learn things like Ads Manager on Facebook. Is that right? Tell us a bit more about that.
So it's one of the things when we speak to agents doing training, people with different levels of expertise, and I think this often the excuse being they're really, really busy and they haven't got time to master it. But now's the time. Now's the time to, if you're used to just boosting a couple of posts for 10 quid here and there, now's the time to stop doing that and learn how to use Facebook Ads Manager properly, because that's what all the big agencies are using, and that's the right way of spending your money. It's better to be boosting than not at all, but if you want to take it to the next level, why don't you use this downtime to really master how to set up campaigns on Facebook? For example, make sure your pixel's working so you can retarget people that have been on your website. Mm-hmm. Learn how to create audiences, learn how to do multi-A/B testing, targeting different audiences at different times, dark campaigns, everything. It's like loads in there. You can't get ahead in social media without being good on advertising. You can't really do advertising unless you're good at Facebook ads. So this is the time for ads. And the other thing as well, I think that people should be spending the time using is getting to grips with Canva. Canva is an online graphic system called Canva, Canva. And that's a lot of all the social media kind of graphics that we would use for our clients would end up using Canva. It's really easy to use, but it takes a little while just to get used to it. They've got a thing called Canva Design Studio, which is a free resource on Canva, and it's just loads of lessons about how to do backgrounds and gradients and shapes and photos and that kind of stuff, fonts. Okay. So that's how I learned. I'm no good at doing Photoshop, but I learned using that kind of thing, and that would take.
Is it free to use, or do you have to pay?
So again?
Is it free to use, or do you have to pay?
Free.
Okay.
So a combination of getting really good at Ads Manager and having some really good looking content to promote via Canva, have come out of this lockdown in a much more stronger position than they went into it. And it would just take a couple of mornings' work just to knock them down, get a cup of tea and work through it,
Ollie, what would you say is the best programs to learn for agents who really want to utilise this sort of period now?
Well, there are so many out there. I mean, I think we as an agency we use the Adobe Creative Suite for almost everything we do, but obviously it's expensive. There are trials available for a lot of the Creative Suite. They are actually also, if you are a business that already uses Creative Suite, they are doing payment holidays for anyone that does use it. So. But it gives you access to a whole load of tools. And one of the ones that we've been sort of recommending to clients that are wanting to have a go themselves is Premiere Rush, which is a fairly basic bit of software which allows you to put video content together for stories and things like that. It's designed to be as simple as possible for an entry-level user. And it gives you some of the abilities that you have to produce video content in using Premiere Pro. So there are things like that. So that's Adobe Premiere Rush, worth looking at. There's also something called Filmora, which I know a few people use, which again for creating videos for social. So that's Filmora, film, and then ORA at the end, and that works on Mac and PC. And again, what they're for is to produce video content for stories or standard posts. It's the thing that I think a lot of people struggle with. People that come to get to grips with building still graphics for social media, Video is the sort of next step up, and it does create better engagement. So if you can try and master some of these skills that agencies like ours are using to produce content, now's a good time to do it. There's loads of time. Everyone's got time on their hands. And actually, some of these things aren't as difficult as they sound once you get your head around it. But yeah, so those are a couple of things I'd recommend. I've also recommended a couple of things in terms of sort of learning new skills and things like that. The Facebook Blueprint is the platform, I think, which you can use to get qualifications in Facebook advertising, as Bruce was talking about. So if you look up Facebook Blueprint, that's a good place to start. Also, if you're looking at Google Ads and things like that, there's the Google Digital Garage, which is a set of courses that you can do. Some of them are free to do some of the basic stuff. Some of them have a cost, but it's fairly small. But again, you can sit and go through a syllabus of stuff you've got to learn from the very beginning, assuming you know nothing, all the way through to some really advanced stuff. So, for example, our staff, are doing this all the time anyway. So our team are constantly going through those courses, making sure they're up to date. Again, there's more time than we've had before to sort of look at some of those things, and they're all sat there waiting to be used. So I definitely look at those things.
And you said not all of them. I mean, obviously there are costs attached to some of them, but not all of them, because cost is going to be a big factor for a lot of companies right now, big and small. But it's worth pointing out that some of those are free, aren't they? Yeah,
some of the entry level stuff is free as far as I know. Agencies get slightly different rates, so I don't know exactly what it costs for anyone to access, but I know some of the entry level stuff is free to do. And there's the whole course syllabus is there. All the information about what you'd need to be able to do is freely accessible. The exam qualification at the end of it, you may have to pay for, but again, whether you want to actually progress it into an actual qualification or not is up to you. But you could sit and learn it yourself. So it's amazing how much information's out there. It is all published and available to be looked at. So.
Fantastic. And I think it's worth running over just some of the key points, which some people who are pretty au fait with social media might already know, but just to run through the various different platforms and the kind of content that you should be posting on each one, because they've all got very different audiences, haven't they? So for an agent who really wants to just get to grips with social media right now and hasn't really been that familiar with a lot of the platforms in the past, what advice would you give to them wanting to know what content to put on things like Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram? How do they vary in terms of the tone and the style and the kind of content that they should be putting on there?
Good question. I think for travel agents wanting to market to the general public, Facebook is still the number one thing to master. Mm-hmm. So it covers the widest demographic. It's got the most. It's got the best targeting options. It's number one in the UK. So it'd be silly to ignore that and try to look at something brand new. So I would wherever someone is on their kind of Facebook journeys, try and push it forward in this lockdown period to move up to the next level. Tips would be like make sure that the profile is up to date and is looking good, bit of housekeeping, and how does it look on mobile? Being on Facebook would be offers work quite well, obviously not now, but I think things you want to post on Facebook would be similar to Instagram at the moment. Things like inspirational pictures, the classic being kind of infinity pools and sunsets, that kind of thing. But yes, anything that's going to catch the eye. It's very competitive out there. So you've got to have what I was called scroll stoppers, people that are going to stop to look at your content. Another tip for content at the moment, I'd say, is to not necessarily worry about trying to create your own, although it's really good to use this time, as Ollie says, to kind of master things like video. There's loads of good video already out there, like from tourism boards and suppliers, which you can, as an agent, you can reshare, add some context over the top to say, I went there last year, it's brilliant. Ask me any questions about it. And then they can share great content, but they haven't had to lift a finger. It's obviously been credited by the fact they've actually shared it, official version. So they can have loads of different content in their social media feeds that way. I think if you're starting off, I really wouldn't worry too much about Twitter. I think it's quite idiosyncratic. It's quite difficult. If you're not used to it, you're not going to sell loads of holidays for Twitter. You and I use it a lot, so I think it's great for its own purpose, but it's not a first port of call for social media advertising for agents. It's Facebook and very closely followed by Instagram, I'd say. Yeah. And I think on top of that, sorry, keep going on. stories is another good thing. I haven't mentioned it too much, but Instagram stories and Facebook stories in particular have grown a lot in the last year or so, and people are starting to use them more and more, especially travel agent in the industry. So use this time to master them. What can you do with them? You know, how do you add other people's stories? How do you add interactive elements to your stories? They're not going away. They get more and more. They get bigger and bigger on the apps in terms of the space that allocated to them. So this is a good time to get your story game up to speed as well.
Get your story game up. I like it. Would you agree with that, Ollie?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think things to bear in mind at the moment is social media use in general is up massively. So people are spending more and more time, obviously downtime. Some people have got less to do. But the very fact we're sat at our desks at home more, we're less travelling to meetings and stuff. A lot of people are in front of screens that perhaps weren't in front of them quite as much as they were before. So bear that in mind. I mean, some of the early figures are, so for example, LinkedIn, I don't think it's massively important for this, but just to give you an idea, the recent report is there's about 45% increase in traffic through LinkedIn over the last couple of weeks, which is absolutely crazy in terms of uplift in and reach of content. So in a weird way, right now has never been a better time to try and get some of these things right, and you're going to reach more people than you've ever get a chance to meet again. So is a big opportunity. It's all about getting the tone right, as we've talked about all the way through. If you can get that right and you're confident with the tone and you're not going to make a slip up, because people are emotional at the moment. They don't want to be you don't want to say the wrong thing at the moment. So keep it emotive, keep it honest, but just utilise it at the moment. It's a massive opportunity. The other thing I'd say, I mean, we in terms of spending time, obviously people are going to spend more time on social media. They're not going to be searching for holidays necessarily at the moment. So, but what you can be doing is thinking about when people do start to return to searching for holidays on Google and so on, and think about the pages that you're sending them to on your website. Now is a very good time to be thinking about what your website looks like, how it works, how quickly it loads. Don't think SEO and natural search and everything else isn't important at the moment, because although search volume is down, but less people are looking for your website. As soon as normality returns, it will come back in masses that you haven't seen before, and you won't have time then to sort your website out. So think about some of the things that potentially you haven't looked at before. Think about, could I improve the website? Or we were going to do that to it, but we never got around to it. Just think about those things. So even though traffic is down, don't think that doesn't matter, because as soon as traffic rises, it's going to be as important as ever. So we are trying to talk to our clients about using this time to fix some of those things you perhaps didn't have time to think about in the past. But yeah, there's lots of opportunity at the moment, but you've just got to look at it in the right way, I suppose. And the immediate sales stuff, is paused at the moment, and we can't do anything about that. So all you can do is work on the long game and focus your time on it.
And on the long game, what makes a good website? What do you like to see on there? Is it a mix of content? Are we talking about maybe agents thinking about putting more blogs on there from fan trips that they might have been on, more video content, more imagery, or is that too much? Is clean and not cluttered the way to go?
Well, sorry. So I mean, the way we look at it, obviously, so the clients we work with, we're trying to get them to rank for locations or hotels or types of trips and stuff like that. So from a search perspective, it's all about building, the best possible content to serve that search. So if someone's looking for a luxury holiday in the Caribbean, you've got to make sure you've got a page of content that talks about luxury, talks about the Caribbean, and talks about the types of places you can go and stay. And all of that links back to blog content as well, because you might have had someone who stayed there and written a review of it or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. It all builds up to create this sort of library of information that Google's going to sort of see you as a destination for that search term. So you have to look at it from a wide spectrum really, but if an agent sat there thinking, right, let's improve our, we sell an awful lot of holidays in this particular area, but just think how many we could sell if we could try and improve our rankings for the search terms that drive that traffic. Then it's not a bad use of your time trying to build up that content. So talking about all the types of things that you can do in those areas, making sure you've got lots of content about each place you can stay. There are players out there doing it very well. I mean, the best thing to do is if if there's a search you want to rank for in Google, have a look who is ranking, and you'll realise what they're actually doing. Click on their site, you'll see that they've actually created a whole library for that search term. They've sat and written loads of content. And often when you talk to businesses, they say, look, we haven't got time to sit and write all this content, but you have now. So now's the time to sit and do it and have a think about it. And, just line your website up against someone else's and think which one's got the best resource of information there. And if it's not yours, then try and make it.
And it's putting a mix of things in there then. Is it nice blogs? Is it video and imagery?
Yeah, as much rich content as you can get in there, really. Obviously, with search, text is really important. So, unfortunately, Google will still read information that's on the website. So, a mixture of imagery, video content, but some really good descriptive text that explains all the types of things you can do in different locations, stuff like that. You've got to just you've got to look at it how Google might see the website and just try and think, am I the best resource for that search term?
So it's not a case of just uploading the video. Make sure you've got words around it as well.
Absolutely, yeah. You've got to describe the different things you can do and structure the content around a particular phrase that's going to get you some business.
Ollie, you had a really interesting stat about LinkedIn. I think it's a 45% increase in traffic. What about, how does that compare with other platforms? Or do you have those?
Well, I did try and get some info on that. I can't get anything reliable. I mean, I just found an article talking about 30% increase. I mean, this is a fast-moving thing. People are slowly getting to grips with, this new scenario. So it's only going to grow over the next few weeks. But, I wouldn't be surprised if it's similar numbers for Facebook, if not higher, because, you've got people potentially been furloughed, they've got time at home. You've got people that are, just who potentially self-employed. Again, I haven't got a lot to do. So suddenly they're going to be spending a lot of time there. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some massive figures on uptake and usage. But yeah, big opportunity.
Yeah. I'm conscious of time. We are going to go for questions shortly. But before we do, what would be your one key piece of advice if you could say to agents, right, the best way you can use your time right now is to do... Bruce, do you want to go first?
The most valuable thing that I can do is to get better at advertising.
Get better at
advertising.
Advertisement.
Social media advertising, I'd say, is to look online for blogs and training courses, and just have a good fiddle themselves on Facebook ads. Mm-hmm. So when things do pop up, get better, then they can really hit the ground running and reach exactly who they need to reach in an efficient way. That'd be my best advice.
Fantastic. Thanks, Bruce. And Ollie?
So it's one thing. We're going to do one thing, right? Okay. So my thing, the immediate stuff, you've got to get. It's a bad name, but the lockdown situation we're in, you've got to get that campaign right. You've got to get your ducks in a line about what you're going to be saying, and so get that right straight away. Don't carry on as you were. Life's changed. Everyone's got to adjust. We've all got to get on with that. So don't plow on without bearing that in mind. And then my advice would be to grow social media following while you can. You've got the bigger audience that they're going to be out there, and also try and fix some of the things that you haven't had time to do. So. While we've got this reduced period of sales activity, there's a chance to fix your website, there's a chance to work on content, there's a chance to do all these things. So just get the immediacy thing stuff done right, and then get a plan for the next few months. Right, I'm going to crack on with this. We're going to get all this stuff done that we've talked about doing for years, and we're going to get it right. And then, so when normality returns, we're in a better shape than we were before.
Sophie, one thing agents can learn as well is if they can learn how to do a virtual background.
Yeah.
Oh, you had to put it in there. Where are we now? Are we in the Caribbean, Bruce?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Like it.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, guys. We are going to go to questions now, but I think that's been a really insightful and quick tour about everything that agents can be doing for when the upturn comes, because it is going to come. Hopefully very soon, and let's make sure that businesses are in the best possible place that they can be when it does. Thanks very much, both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're joined by Ollie. Bruce is going to be joining us shortly. But just to kind of keep the conversation going. Hi, Bruce.
Hello.
The key messages really that we were trying to get out there was, how do you keep your clients engaged? This is a really challenging time. It's a really difficult time for people to get that tone right and to keep in touch with their clients, but without looking insensitive and like they're just trying to advertise. Both of you guys, what would your top marketing tips be in that respect?
Okay. Well, I mean, I think as we mentioned at the start, that if you, I know the sound was pretty poor, but hopefully it's a bit better. But yeah, essentially we're trying to be as emotive as possible at the moment. I mean, messaging and everything we're saying as businesses to the community is, making sure that they can see that we're dealing with the scenario and we've readjusted to suit the new situation. So, we've got some really good examples of that are going around already. We talked about the South Africa tourism one that we talked about, and Visit Australia as well. People are adjusting messaging, they're accepting the scenario we're in, and then they are planning for the future. That's essentially what people are trying to do at the moment, and making sure you've done those things and not trying to ignore the scenario or try and plough on as normal.
Bruce, would you agree with that?
Yeah, hello everyone. Thanks for inviting me to take part in this today. Hope this is a bit more clearer than the audio on the last bit. Thanks, Sophie. I think, as Ollie was saying, and we were saying in the video then, it's important to have the right kind of tone and to appreciate that people can't travel now. But bear in mind that people are dying to get away and get out of their house, at least just get out of the house is an achievement these days. But if we can, if agents and suppliers can just keep the love alive for travel, and keep people's interest in it, and people be front of mind. So for travel agents, it's important, obviously, not to just sell offers that are leaving next week, of course, but it's more about keeping front of mind with their customers, amusing them, engaging with them, and just as I said in the piece earlier, just try and get across the credibility and personality of travel agents through things like this, through like Zoom or like Facebook Live, because people really make a personal connection if they can see and hear someone speaking. So use this opportunity to learn how to do that stuff, get more get more skillful at doing live, more confident and doing videos. And when this all kicks off again and we can start selling properly, everyone will be in a much better place to be ready for that.
It is that face-to-face kind of interaction, isn't it? Because when everyone's on lockdown, there are people that are lonely or are just missing the kind of outside world, being able to talk to people. So being able to connect with your customer and to see their face can make quite a big difference, can't it?
Yeah, and we've got the technology now to do that. And people buy from people is the classic. And what I was saying in the piece a minute ago is this pandemic has enabled us. It's kind of changed it all. We've all just jumped on Zoom and other video conferencing systems, and it just becomes normal. I was like, I didn't used to be very confident about being on video and getting out there. It's just like it wasn't what we did, but we're all doing it now. So it's just it's good. It's changed the way. I mean, Martin earlier on in today's session, which was excellent, I thought he was quite right. He was talking about opportunities where meetings and things like that are much more likely to take place on video now than they used to, because it's just what everyone's doing. So this is an opportunity for travel agents to do this and even do things like just a kind of Friday chat about travel or previous trips, or do a quiz. Quizzes are massive, and kind of like virtual pub quizzes and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Engaging, people can watch it along, but the subtext of watching agents do that is that they think, oh, they're nice, I trust them. So when we're ready to book and call up, then they'll be thinking of those guys that they've been engaging with during lockdown.
Yeah, so it's not about sales messages. And we have a question actually from Martin. He says, what can we do to keep people engaged? So he says he's done quizzes, coffee break Q&As. I like this. He says, live cooking McDonald's sausage and egg muffin last Sunday. I mean, that sounds brilliant. I think I want to tune into that next time. He says, what else can we do? And when should we be starting to post offers again? Because that's the really crucial point, isn't it? When does it become okay again to do that without looking insensitive? I mean, I guess that's the $1 million question. But Any tips you've got for more engagement and advice on when it's okay to start marketing those offers again? Ollie, are you able to help with that one?
I mean, it's so difficult, isn't it? I mean, until we know where we're going, it's very difficult to put a date on almost anything at the moment, isn't it? But I think, based on what other people are doing and what we're suggesting to clients is people are locked in the dream phase, if you like, of a holiday booking, and we've got to try and picture that situation. I mean, we often talk about it when we're doing advertising campaigns or we're working on websites, whatever it is. We have this big dream phase where you're thinking about where you want to go on holiday, you're thinking about the various options you've got, the place you haven't been to, the places you really want to go and visit. And normally we're sort of trying to track that process all the way through to booking, booking a holiday. So at the moment, everyone's locked in dream phase. There's not a lot we can do. We can't, bookings aren't going to come in right now because there isn't enough certainty on where we're going. So imagining everyone in that scenario, what do they want to do? They still want to dream. They still want to think about where they want to go on holiday. They still want to picture themselves going on these holidays, and they want to. They've almost got longer than ever now to really plan what they want to do. So trying to get into that mindset and thinking of ways to communicate with them by whether it be through keeping contact with more sort of base more simplistic ways like quizzes and things like that to keep the audience engaged. It's a great way to do that, and people are expecting to see the people behind these businesses at the moment. It is a tough time for everyone, but the main thing to remember is some of the early figures at the moment are showing that some of the social networks are experiencing sort of 40-50% higher usage at the moment. So if you bear that in mind, I mean, I haven't got some hard data at the moment, but there's lots floating around of sort of suggested ideas of figures, but that's the sort of figure people are talking about. So the engagement point at the moment is at the best point it could ever be. We dream of this scenario of everyone being in front of their screens as much as they are right now. If we capture them all at that moment and be in front of them for the dream phase, we'd love that, but we've got it in abundance at the moment. So they're all sat there, they're all staring at their phones, they're all going through Instagram, Facebook, they're engaging like never before. So if we can just remember that, I think, personally, I just think talking about offers or anything like that at the moment, I just think that's way too early. Some of the big sort of visit organisations stuff talking about 2021. I know that's tough to start talking about, but people will, start to think maybe we might get a holiday in at the end of the year. I don't know yet. So it's just trying to accept the scenario as it is and try and capitalise on that dream phase. I think that's how I suggest we do it. The ways you do that are various depending on your audience type and the type of customers you're targeting, I suppose. But there are many ways of doing it.
Okay, Bruce, anything to add with that? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it was agreed with all that really. Yeah, it's definitely not the time to doing offers. I know we could be selling 2021. I think that's fine, but I think for anything for this year, it's inappropriate. It's just there's so much we can do, as Ollie was saying, about generating desire for travel for later on, and earning credibility from and trust from consumers, because everyone's still busy. Everyone's online, so this is a good opportunity, as Ollie was saying, to keep in front of your consumers, but not necessarily with a blue-blooded offer, but more of a look at this amazing place, or have you been there, and what are your best tips? That kind of that kind of more generalistic approach. Fun stuff as well. As I said in the bit piece earlier, people are on social media now because they're bored.
Yeah.
They're looking for things to look at, and so there's a lot of as well as quizzes and stuff, a lot of like funny memes hanging around and stuff. So videos and stuff. People are looking for things, digital amusement. So this is a good time to like get on the back of that kind of thing too.
We have a question from Emma Reynolds. She says, what type of content would you suggest would go down well on a Facebook Live? I know Facebook Lives is something that we've been doing a lot of at TTG. It works perfectly for our audience, but for a more customer focused audience, what would you suggest, either of you?
I think one of the interesting things to do about Facebook Live is to, first of all, is to practice. Do a recorded one first and just see how it looks, see what the sound is like, see if the background noise is poor, see if the light's bad. It's often people go live, it's key and it's rubbish. So we saw earlier with the bad audio, it turns people off. So I think whatever you say doesn't matter if they can't hear it, or it's too it looks rubbish. Then they're not going to watch. Bear in mind that people have got very short attention spans, so it needs to be engaging and interesting. It can't be just you chatting around and just talking about nothing. It needs to be something which is going to grab people's attention. I've seen some good ones before where people have people theme it. So talking about a theme, whether it's like cruise or domestic holidays or family holidays with kids, and then also maybe interviewing someone else as well. So like you as an agent, possibly with another travel agent or a good customer, talking about the trip they went on. So we can't go on that trip now, but we can talk about what happened and the decision processes that they made to go on this amazing once in a lifetime trip. So let's dream a little and let's listen to someone, how they come about that. And by that process, the agent will come across very knowledgeable.
And it comes back to that inspiration point.
And I think that's we can certainly talk about these things still exist, and they did exist before, so we can talk about them in an engaging way. But just bear in mind that people aren't going to sit there and watch 45 minutes of you interviewing someone. It needs to be, and the fact that most people won't watch it live. People mostly watch it afterwards. So don't be disheartened if you see like 3 people live watching, because you'll get loads more afterwards. Because as I said before, Facebook will give you an uplift for using Facebook Live, and it will appear in people's news feeds more often. So you'll be pleasantly surprised by the end, like in a week's time, when you'll see many more views of your video.
So that plays actually into a question someone here said, that they're a bit worried because they don't have that many subscribers. They said just over 1,000 on Facebook. Well, that's decent. So they think the safe option is to avoid interaction if there is a risk of not having any. They said maybe it's better to do a pre-recorded video, but you're saying don't worry if you don't have many. Is that?
Yeah, no, definitely don't do a recorded video, because you won't get as much reach as a live one. And if it's just content, live will outperform it every time. Good, yeah. You don't want that what they call it, tumbleweed effect, where you're asking for questions and there's no one there. It's just don't set yourself up for a fall. Luckily today, TDG got loads of questions. You got too many.
I know. I can't get through them all.
So just don't set yourself up. Don't say those words that are going to make it look like it wasn't well attended. Just in mind, most 90% of your views probably will come after the fact. And even if you haven't got that many fans, but it was good content, you can promote that video outside of your fan network with advertising. So you can reach like 30,000 people in your local area with that video if you think it's good enough. And
that actually brings me on to a point that I don't think we got a chance to discuss in the panel before we had to cut it off, but it was all about what should you be using this time, this kind of downtime for some businesses, to really kind of learn which training platforms and tools should you be learning. And I know, Bruce, you mentioned about Ads Manager, Facebook Ads Manager, and Ollie, you had some suggestions of programs that it's really good for agents just to really familiarize themselves with. I think you mentioned Premier Rush, was that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are all things that, as an agency, we train our guys in all the time. So now, there's a bit of downtime. There's no reason why, agents can't be looking at doing some of these things themselves. I mean, I think, depending on what you want to learn about, I mean, there are lots of different things, obviously, but Facebook have got a whole, it's called Blueprint, which is a platform that you can go through as a process to learn how to do various things, mainly to do with advertising. But it will give you essentially a qualification. But a lot of the information is available for you to learn. So if you go to look up Facebook Blueprint, you can then actually go through and do a qualification, which I think you have to pay for. Again, agencies like ours don't pay for them because of the way we work with them. But I know they're not particularly expensive. But it'd be worth doing something like that if you want to learn about how to use Facebook advertising more effectively. If you want to use Google advertising more effectively, again, they've got something called Google Digital Garage. They've got another platform that you can run yourself through, which goes from very start of absolutely knowing nothing all the way through to being a really advanced user. So some of these tools are really available for everyone. So although we're sort of giving it away, agencies like us, we're using all that sort of resource all the time to learn how to get the best out of advertising, really. So I'd have a look at those two. But in terms of the programs as well, things, if you wanted to produce, slightly more edited versions for stories or video content for stories or whatever it is, there are platforms like Adobe Premiere Rush, which is a video editing platform designed for producing social media assets. So again, there's loads of learning materials online about how to use it and stuff, but it is designed for beginners. So again, you can produce slightly more enhanced video content for your social media channels. So yeah, those are a couple to look at. The Adobe one you have to pay for, but there is a free trial as well. And at the moment they are doing like a coronavirus 3-month off if anyone's already a subscriber. So there are some things out there to get, but those are things I'd look at.
Fab, you're going to do yourself out of a job, Ollie.
I know, yeah, what we're doing.
And Bruce, I know you'd mentioned Ads Manager, I think, and you said about Canva. Just tell us a little bit about those two programs.
Yeah, my 2 tips would be use this time to get better at Facebook advertising, because it's often the weakest part of travel agent social media skills when we're talking to travel agents. Not all the travel agents are using ads, and ones that are maybe just boosting, and only a few will be using the kind of full version, which is Facebook Ads Manager. So no excuses. This is the time. This is the time to be taking the time out, get a cup of tea, and get your hands dirty and look at Facebook Ad Manager and try and look for some look at Facebook Blueprint training, look at some videos on YouTube. This is the time when you need to be learning how to make the most out of that very powerful platform. So we're talking about doing dark campaigns, doing setting up your Facebook pixel, learning about different types of audience creation, running multiple A/B testing, all that good stuff. So this is the time to do it in the next few months when we're a bit quiet. So when it does go when it starts getting busy again, then you're going to hit the ground running and be able to use ads.
The best possible place to differentiate yourself from your competitors as well.
We can all do good content, but if no one sees it, what's the point? You need to be doing Ads Manager now, and so it's the key thing. So no excuses, guys. Want to see some good ads?
No pressure, everyone.
The second one I say is graphics, and you see me before. I always talk about Canva. Canva, ANVA. It's a very easy to use graphic program on the internet. So it's really good for creating offers and any kind of graphics that are going to support your social media ads or messaging you're putting out there. It's free to use. You can use your own images, overlay like your own text and that kind of thing. And at the moment, Canva have a really good suite of training lessons called Canva Design Studio. So if you go to there, you'll find it, and there's lots of lessons. You start with like really easy things, and then by the end, you can be doing lots of cool stuff. And it just, once you have it, you'd be addicted. So if Canva ever goes down, it's like a disaster because we use it every day. So it's really good. So Canva is definitely something which you need to be upskilling yourselves while this is a quiet period too.